And we've got Alex from New York looking for some advice on talking to family and getting family to use your proper pronouns. Alex, did I sum that up? Welcome, you're on live.
Essentially, yes. You got it down packed.
Perfect. So tell us what's going on, man.
So my family is very religious. I'm very not. Quite the opposite, actually. And they
welcome to the party.
Don't.
Yeah.
Fun, right? It's even better.
Yeah, no, it's not so much fun. We can all relate. Go ahead.
It's essentially they don't use my proper pronouns or even my preferred name. So it's just kind of irritating at times. They use gender roles, and it just irritates me. And I just really don't know how to tell them to stop. I mean, I could just tell them to stop, but like, I don't want to sound too harsh. They're my family.
Yeah, and how that stop is going to be received carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? What kind of insights do the two of y'all have here?
Well, I think that first of all, when you're presenting someone with some new information, like I no longer want to be referred to as he or as she, and I prefer they. I think when you're presenting new information, you may want to give them a little bit of a break so that they can come around and get used to it. I don't think you owe it to them to do that, but I think it, like you say, they are your family, and you might want to throw them that little bit of extra room to get used to it. That being said, I mean, if you have told them and you've corrected them and they've made a mistake, and people make honest mistakes. I've done it myself. I still do it every now and then. But if they're misgendering you, you need to kind of determine whether it is intentional or whether it's a slip of the tongue. And I think the best way to do it is just to simply ask them, right? Like, did you just call me he on purpose, or do you just not care that I go by they? And then that's going to kind of be a good dowsing rod for where to go in the conversation from there.
So I actually came out about 8 months ago-ish, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. I haven't really been keeping track. Roughly 8 months ago. So I've given
time is a flat circle during COVID. I don't think any of us even knows how long ago 8 months ago was.
When you originally informed them of your proper name and pronouns, what was that like? What did you tell them?
I kind of played it subtly at first, gave them slow hints, kind of like how I did with my atheistic viewpoints and my other viewpoints that I definitely don't share with them. And it was a slow progress, but they were very accepting, but a little passive aggressive about it.
What did that?
Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. How do you be very accepting and a little passive aggressive? What did that look like for you?
So it's just difficult because I can't really remember off the top of my head, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean, it sounds like it was kind of a varied experience that was maybe strung out over some time, but that you formed a memory and you've been kind of carrying a recollection of it, yeah?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
And that's fair too. I mean, passive aggressive behavior by nature is subdued and sort of under the table, underhanded sort of. So I can understand it might be hard to pin down.
So this is not the first time they do this. My mother was and still is in basically a pseudo cult, aka Pentecostalism, Christian Pentecostalism, which is very cult-like in their teachings and their actions.
Yeah, it definitely can be.
So
Yeah, you don't have to tell me, Alex. I grew up in a very Pentecostal family.
Heard.
yeah, it's bad. It can get very bad.
I completely understand.
Do you know, Alex, do you know what assertiveness is?
Assertiveness, yes.
Yeah.
I have been since studying a lot of LaVeyan Satanism and watching a lot more atheistic videos on YouTube. I've been able to be a lot more assertive about myself and about my standpoints. There's just some things that I'm not able to do with my mother and father that I just have been able to do with people online and my wife, my father-in-law, stuff like that.
And so do you feel like if you were assertive with your parents that would be harsh? I know you would express that as a concern.
I don't want to be too harsh. I don't want to cause them to view me in a disrespectful, dismissive light. Even
So
though they're
I've got
going to do it anyways, but that's a whole different issue.
I've got a formula for you in terms of having this conversation. Basically, just a quick overview of it is it goes, I feel blank when blank. I'd prefer if blank. And so you could say, I feel upset, hurt, and disrespected when I'm called by the incorrect name and pronouns. I'd prefer if you used the name blank and XYZ pronouns. And that's not harsh. That's just a matter of fact. And in that, you're describing how you feel, which somebody really can't argue with how you feel.
Yeah, I love that nonviolent communication strategy for approaching this conversation. How does that resonate with you, Alex?
I could definitely try that. I'll definitely be open to trying that.
Cool.
Yeah, how comfortable is it for you to own those labels in that way? To really take ownership and say, like, I am this and I feel that.
Oh, I am very prideful in how I feel, how I act, and how I put off to myself. I take my pride as one of my number one qualities.
Well, fair enough. It sounds like you're all set up. Is there anything else that we might be able to clear up for you tonight?
No, I'm pretty good. I appreciate it greatly, guys. I really do.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you, Alex. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Being assertive is not being rude. There is a huge difference there, and you sound like you have a pretty good base to approach this with confidence. So if you want to call back and let us know how it works out, we would love to hear from you again. Okay?
Will do.
All right. Thank you for calling, Alex. You have a wonderful evening.